These are the top 10 tips for bulletproof cameras. Let's get into it. My first tip with bulletproof cameras is put them in high traffic attacker areas where attackers are going to be pushing most often. Good example is if there's a door or a window that leads directly into sight, you can put the bulletproof camera looking directly onto that. The reason this is good is because it provides information on attackers that are directly outside of the objective or outside of the point of interest that you put the bulletproof cam onto, and they have to waste utility getting to it. Also, a plus if it's by the site. Usually there's Jaeger ADSs, Aruni gates, or Wamai discs that are scattered throughout the site anyways that can naturally just protect your bulletproof camera. If you have a duo, you can have him run Jaeger or Wamai and accomplish the exact same thing instead of just relying on your solo queue teammates. Not only is it good because of that, but also if you don't have ADSs or Wamai discs and the objective gets smoked off, these bulletproof cameras can see through smoke, so it's a great counter to Sens, Glaz, or any other operator that uses smokes heavily. Instead of running Warden, you can run an operator like Malusi or Aruni that has a bulletproof camera that brings more utility to the table than just playing a Warden, so just keep that in mind. High traffic attacker areas are where attackers generally push from most times of the round, so default pushes and stuff like that. You can also just think about it as places where people put deployable shields often. My second tip with bulletproof cameras is learning how to use the taser on it. So the taser on the bulletproof camera is just like a little miniature EMP blast thing, I guess. I don't really know how to describe it. You essentially have a bulletproof camera and you can shoot it, and it shoots a laser, and wherever that laser hits exactly, it will disable any electronic attacker gadgets. So you're talking drones, Yana clones, stuff like that, Flores drones, anything of that sort. But it also counters any attacker primary gadgets. So if you shock a Finka or a Yana or a Dokkaebi or a Lion, they can't use their ability if you shoot them directly in the body for a certain period of time. It'll give them the EMP grenade effect in the bottom left like you get if you were a defender that got shocked by Thatcher, and it would disable any primary abilities like that. So it's actually a pretty cool thing. If they're not droning and you know they're going to rush with one of those operators, you can literally just shock the gadget and it won't work. This works for Sens gates as well, but primarily can be used for droning, Flores drones, Yana clones, Finka nano swarms, blitz flashes, Dokkaebi calls, lion scans, any hard breach like Thermite Ace Habana, secondary hard breaching gadgets, etc. You get the point. If it's electronic, you can disable it shortly before it reactivates. Now, that is the key, before it reactivates. What you can do is you can put a bulletproof camera near the objective and shock drones that come in, and then you're able to swing the drones and shoot them before the attackers can either pick up their drone or it returns itself on. Because again, it doesn't destroy the drone necessarily, it just makes it to where it doesn't work for a few seconds and then it turns back on. So don't put it directly in sight where you won't be able to swing the drone and kill it. Put it somewhere near so that attackers won't be immediately refragging their drone and killing you. My third bulletproof cam tip is if you're playing a Rooney, or anybody with a shotgun for that matter, you can reinforce a wall, and on the other side of that wall you can break the soft wall, put the bulletproof camera inside, and it makes it a lot harder for people to destroy the bulletproof camera because they're unable to shoot the sides or the top of it, meaning that they have to knife it or destroy it with bulletproof utility. Honestly, a very underrated tip that takes out the only real weakness to bulletproof cameras, and it's that it can just be shot, right? If you take that away, they have to destroy it or knife it, which is extremely difficult to do, right? If they're knifing it, that means they have to be within arm's reach of it, which means you can swing them. And typically if you have them in sight, which is what I talked about in my first tip you should be doing anyways, they're not going to be able to knife it, right? So it's a free way to make it to where people have to use explosives to kill it, and they're wasting explosives on a bulletproof camera instead of a deployable shield, Malusi gadgets, stuff like that, or just getting kills in general, which is very, very good. It's even better paired with a Rooney, where you can put the Aruni gate on the reinforced wall and the bulletproof camera sits behind it instead of the bulletproof camera making it to where the Aruni gate doesn't actually activate. You can put Jaeger ADSs in front of it, Wamai discs in front of it, and now the only way that this thing can be destroyed is if somebody knifes it. But like I said, it'll be insight protected by you and your teammates, so there will actually be no way for the defenders to destroy this unless they burn and use utility to get it. But then again, it's a bulletproof camera, so if they're using that much utility for just a bulletproof camera, that's really, really good. My fourth tip is typically on cameras, you don't want to red ping because it alerts the attackers that they're being seen, and it alerts the attackers that there's a camera on them, so they immediately go to shoot it. With bulletproof cameras, they don't get the luxury to do that. Also with bulletproof cameras, they have a bright flashing blue light on them, right? So if you're watching them, they're gonna know anyways. So there's no point in actually not red pinging someone. So I would actually red ping over yellow pinging because they know they're getting spotted anyways. They know where the cam is anyway. So there's no point in sitting there and yellow pinging when you could red ping and yellow ping at the same time, giving quicker and more accurate information to your team. If I were to yellow ping every few seconds, that's only every few seconds of info, and it's not a live ping, and it's not as useful. But if I'm red pinging and yellow pinging at the same time, that's more pings per minute, or I guess per like 3 seconds, I should say, than just yellow pinging or just red pinging, right? So you can use it in coordination, to give more accurate callouts to your team. My last tip with bulletproof cameras is arguably the easiest one you can do, but it is the one that makes them the most useful, and that's simply just playing off of them, right? If you're playing somebody like Vigil or somebody like Malusi, who does have a bulletproof camera you can bring, but you're going to be off-site and being on your gun more than you are going to be on-site doing nothing, then there's no point in bringing it in the first place, right? Your teammates can use it, and they can use it to shock it, but if you're in solo queue ranked, nobody's watching those cameras except for you, if we're being honest. If you have a reliable teammate, you have a duo queue, or you can just rely on your teammates watching your cameras, then this point doesn't actually mean anything. But if you're going to bring a bulletproof camera, then sit on site so that you can use that camera safely to further make it to where people can actually get value out of it, right? If you're sitting there and you're only on your cam once every 5 seconds, you're not getting the full value you would out of it because you can't shock people, you can't get live cams, live pings, right? So it's still a camera nonetheless. It's still going to be useful, especially if you don't need to bring impacts, right? But I would just recommend, if you're going to use the bulletproof camera, to be using it constantly to get the most value out of it that you can, unless you have a teammate that's able to do that for you. With that out of the way, that's pretty much it for the video. If you like this short form of video, let me know in the comments below. I'm trying to see if I can do like an under 10-minute series because I'm not monetized. There's no reason for me to do 10-minute videos. Like the video if you liked it, sub to the channel. I am almost at 1K, so I'm almost monetized, and you could be a part of that. All of that out the way, that's pretty much it. I'll see you later.